If your fur babies have ever had stinky breath and you had no idea what to do, then don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 easy, quick recipes using safe and all-natural ingredients that you can find at your local pet and grocery stores to make a few yummy and healthy breath mints. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then just keep on watching. Before we get started, you're going to want to take your parsley and your mint and give them a quick chop, then grab your favorite silicone molds because that's what we're going to be using for all of the recipes. For this first recipe, all you're going to need is some plain Greek yogurt, a bit of mint, a bit of parsley, and then a couple drops of plain old coconut oil. The first thing I do for this recipe is I take a bit of the parsley that has already been chopped up and I put a bit of that in each tray. Parsley is an herb that is great for freshening breath, but it also contains a variety of antioxidants that can help prevent cell damage, and it's rich in vitamins like vitamin A, K, and C. Then we're going to go ahead and layer in a bit of that chopped up mint to each tray. Now mint, you all know, is very great for breath freshening, but it also has powerful antifungal, antimicrobial, antiviral, and antibacterial qualities that can boost the immune system. Next up, I'm just taking a bit of coconut oil that I melted and I'm putting in a few drops into each tray. You don't want to overdo it with the coconut oil, but I include this because of the lauric acid that's in coconut oil. It can help kill bacteria and also happens to be antifungal. Then the last thing is going to be topping this all off with a bit of plain Greek yogurt. Now plain Greek yogurt you're going to want to find, or just plain yogurt in general that has no added flavor, no sugar whatsoever. Plain yogurt is great because it can be a nice source of probiotics, and for this recipe it's just going to help bind everything so that you have a really nice solid treat when it's all frozen. For the second recipe, you're going to want to get your hands on some raw goat's milk, a bit of mint, and a bit of either raw honey or manuka honey. Just like the previous recipe, I'm going to go ahead and lay down all of the mint first in each tray before we add the other ingredients. Now using the end of a chopstick, I'm going to place a small amount of manuka honey into each tray. You do the same thing if you were using regular raw honey. You don't want to use plain store-bought honey. And you want to make sure that the K factor with your manuka honey, I believe it has to be a minimum of 16 in this instance. Manuka honey is fantastic because it is antibacterial and anti-inflammatory, and with local raw honey, most of the times it's included to help with allergies. To top everything off, you're going to want to use your raw goat's milk. This you can typically find at your pet store, and it contains probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, electrolytes, vitamins and minerals, fatty acids, and it's a really good addition for moisture in your pet's diet if you need to add it. For our next recipe, we're going to be using some raw kefir, some mint, coconut oil, and a bit of fresh apple. Green apple is best if you have it, but I actually didn't in this case. I went ahead and laid down all of the mint first, just like I've previously done in each tray, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a couple small slices of the apple in the pods. Now, green apple would be nice just because of the scent, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Eating such a small amount of apple and leaving the skin on like this in this instance is totally fine, but if you were to feed larger chunks of apple or feed it more frequently, you would definitely want to go ahead and remove the skin because that can be a bit hard to digest. The raw kefir is going in next, and what this is a fermented milk that is loaded with probiotics, similar to your raw goat's milk. Again, this is something you're probably most likely going to find at your local pet store. The fermentation of this cow's milk is what helps break down foods that your pet consumes, so it makes it a lot easier for them to digest it, which is why you can totally add it to their food to help with digestion and hydration, the same as the raw goat's milk. And then at the end of this, I'm just topping off every tray with a little bit of coconut oil. Our fourth recipe and the last of the frozen treats, we're going to be using something really simple, which is homemade bone broth, a bit of mint, and a bit of parsley. As always, I'm going in and I'm laying down all of my greens first. So we got the mint and the parsley going down in each tray. And then I'm going to top everything off with the bone broth so that it is all frozen really nicely together. Homemade bone broth for your pets is fantastic, and it's really beneficial for them. It can not only help with hydration, but it's loaded with vitamins and minerals. It can be an immune booster. It can help support their joints. It can be anti-inflammatory and help detoxify. So it's really great. Just make sure you're completely avoiding salt and adding any seasonings of any kind to it. I mean, a little bit of parsley or something splashed in there is okay, but you really want to have nothing but water and maybe a splash of apple cider vinegar when you're making it. Now that's going to be it for the first 4 treats. These are all the easy peasy, stick them in the freezer treats, so it doesn't require much effort, much time, much prep, and you just put in your freezer overnight or for a couple hours and then pop them out. On to our final recipe. This is the only one that's going to be a bake recipe, and it has oats, 1 egg, parsley, mint, a bit of water, and of course a little touch of coconut oil. I took 2.5 cups of oats, just regular steel cut oats, and I added that to my blender and I gave it a pulse to turn it into what was essentially a flour, and that's going to be the base of this recipe. To your oat flour, you're going to be adding 1 large egg, half a cup of parsley, half a cup of mint, both of which have been chopped, and then you're going to go in with 3 tablespoons of coconut oil and a 1/4 cup of water, and then you're going to just whisk everything together. Now that everything is combined and you have a dough, oil your pan. I'm just using a little bit of coconut oil on my sheet pan, and then I'm taking those little bone silicone molds to make my little cookies. And in an oven that's set to 325 Fahrenheit, you're just going to bake them for 35 to 40 minutes or until they're nice and golden brown. Then you should be left with something like this. I left all of the frozen breath mints in my freezer overnight, and then when I popped them out, this is pretty much what I got. I felt like they all turned out really pretty. And with all the leftover ingredients that I had these really cute flower molds, so I figured I'd make some mini versions of the frozen breath mints, and they turned out really nice. So those were the 5 recipes that I wanted to share with you all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And don't forget, this is not a substitute for taking care of your pet's teeth. This is simply to help freshen their breath once in a while when they eat something stinky. If you're interested in feeding things that will keep your pet's teeth nice and clean, pearly white, keep the buildup of plaque and tartar off of them, I personally feed my puppy things like raw meaty bones in addition to manually brushing his teeth with a dog-friendly toothpaste. And if you've never heard of raw meaty bones before and you're not too sure about it, then check these videos out.